It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here this morning.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, my favorite thing that went viral yesterday was the billionaire hedge fund, fudge, did I say?
Hedge fudge. That sounds tasty.
Hedge fund manager Bill Ackman. You remember him? He was really out there when with the whole anti-Semitic thing at colleges, Harvard and everything else. He was really a part of that. He came out with dating advice because something that we haven't talked about, but it's been in the news the last couple of days, is that young men don't want to date. Did you see that?
Well, yeah. Young men today don't want to do anything.
Hey,
and dating requires doing something.
Hey, Flutie, bring that low T commercial, put it on different channels. The target.
No. They have the tea. They have plenty of tea. They do nothing with it but play video games. Or, even worse, watch other people play video games.
I don't think that's the whole concept of tea, though, is it?
No, that's what I'm saying. They're wasting it.
But
they could be building empires. Oh, they are. Virtual empires when they get enough points.
Well, never did I thought we'd be talking about dating, and you can actually relate it to the political, cultural narrative that exists today, especially on the left. And when you look at the fact of no incentive to do anything anymore, the pathology of dependency, living with parents, because all of this has come out in it that they just don't want to grow up. There is a sense of entitlement. There is when it gets to, for example, rejection, that young men are totally and completely scared of rejection, completely.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like, well, if I'm going to reject it, I just don't want to be part of it, which I find fascinating. When I was young, well, think about it. When we were young, you think about it. Just wasn't texting somebody or calling somebody.
No, you had to
on your cell phone.
You had to go out and put the horse and the buggy together and all of that.
No,
get the lantern all ready.
You had to take the landline that was
the party line,
the landline or the party. Make sure everyone was off the party line.
Mildred,
hey,
are you listening to me?
Get off the phone. But you had to you either had to call the girl with your parents in the room, or you had to keep telling them, I really want to get you a huge extension cord for Christmas this year. You're saying this as a teenager. So it will reach all the way upstairs and into my bedroom so I can call the girl so you won't hear it.
I had an extension cord that went all the way down into my bedroom. I did.
Did you really say
that? Yeah. Cheaper than putting a new landline in my bedroom.
But Bill Ackman, said, I want to help. On a post shared on X, Ackman showed concern for what he views as a cultural shift that leaves young men isolated and feeling hesitant to approach women offline. As such, I thought I would share a few words that I used in my youth to meet someone that I found compelling. Well, when you use words like that, that I found hot. I would ask, may I meet you?
Oh.
Before engaging further in a conversation. Ackman also said the polite phrasing and proper grammar and politeness made his approach surprisingly effective, claiming it almost never got a no. He added, just 2 cents from an older, happily married guy concerned with our next generation's happiness and population replacement rates.
Well, yeah, that's the biggest problem.
Oh, I know. It says when Ackman, while Ackman may have intended his words as mentorship, the internet quickly made them a laughing stock. Thousands of users across X transformed "May I meet you" into a meme, pairing the phrase with images of awkward party encounters and uncomfortable exchanges between men and women. One viral post featured comedian Shane Gillis staring creepily into the camera saying, "May I meet you?" I didn't see that. I haven't seen that.
I haven't either.
All I have to do is
picturing it.
Same with, I picture that in my mind going, oh, my God, it's got to be a great
face.
one. Pairing it goes creepily into the camera while another showed a man awkwardly gazing at a group of women at a party.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, because the next line is, hey, does this rag smell like chloroform to you? And then beyond that, it's, do you want to get in the van? We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
Well, the one I liked was the woman who looked like a boss, and it said, "May I meet you first thing Monday morning to talk about your performance improvement plan?"
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's just been a thing. It's like,
yeah.
Really? Young men have found a way to defeat?
Rejection?
No. Teenage and young male adult libido?
I wouldn't say that. They've just redirected it.
To video games?
Pretty much. I mean, have you seen the latest Grand Theft Auto?
No.
Me either.
I have no interest. Absolutely. I've never.
either.
I
don't even know if Grand Theft Auto is still around.
I was in a conversation with somebody the other day, and they said, well, when I play video games, this person was in their 50s. You play video games? I go, you don't? I said, well, the last one I played was Space Invaders.
Yeah. Required quarters.
Yes. It was
a lot of quarters.
The last one I played, and I'm being serious, the last video, I had these old golfing buddies. This goes back about, I don't know, whenever the first golf video game came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to golf with these guys. And they used to go to the bar afterwards, and they would stay. They would sit there and spend, till 2 in the morning playing the golf video game and miss tee times in the morning. They would miss playing real golf to play video golf at a bar.
Well, there you have it. It probably isn't really generational as much as it is just built into the male DNA where, if we can just sit there and look at a screen, it beats having to actually talk to anybody.
Well, I'm trying to think now. You just brought up a point. I'm trying to think if at that point in their, really you got a point, because I'm thinking of two of the guys. They sort of just gave up on the women thing completely. So maybe what's the golf video game?
Yeah, it's
we have found a way to defeat the male libido.
I think the whole male libido thing is like really overplayed. I think it's I could get up and get dressed, or I'm not going to do that.
Well, yeah, from your perspective of being old, of course.
No, I mean it's kind of always been that way. I mean, seriously. Think about it. How did the rock band Rush ever get famous?
Lonely men.
This guy's going, I could call a girl, but why would I do that?
Oh, no.
I can watch these geniuses.
No. That's terrible, because I got Rush tickets for next year.
Yeah, exactly. And the beat goes on. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, that's exactly how this whole thing plays out.
So it actually started in my generation.
Ladies, some of you are laughing, but you're laughing because you know it's true. They're going, we already know all this. We already know all this.
Now,
So some of the best words that you can hear if you're a guy and I've been married for over 3.5 decades now. Some of the best words you can hear are, hey, our plans with that other couple this weekend got canceled.
well,
There's not a drug in the world that meets that feeling. Oh, really? I'm sorry to hear that.
now, there was a difference
Mm-hmm.
in the 70s. And that was, it was an 18-year-old drinking age, and bars stayed open where I grew up till 4:30 a.m.
Yeah. I didn't drink. Everybody else did, which was weird. But I didn't drink, and I was playing in a band, but I always looked at it as a job. But what's weird is I didn't look at it as a career. I chose the more prosperous road, radio. But it was, and I had girlfriends. I didn't do it I wasn't trying to be in the spotlight or anything. I wasn't trying to. It was like, oh, okay, I can do this, and then maybe somebody will pay me, and it's kind of cool that 4 or 5 people can get together and make a song happen.
Right. You weren't there to do the Def Leppard thing backstage.
No.
Okay.
No, not at all. And it's, I look at it because I think that's just the way guys, a lot of guys are built. It's there are certain things that, and in terms of relationships, guys would rather be doing other things. If you've got a huge garage, a huge shop with all the tools, that's sexy.
I'm working with Tim Allen.
That's what guys are drawn to. It's like they'll stay in that garage. If his buddy says, hey, just built this huge shop. I got all these tools, a couple of cars. Come on over. They'd be there all day, all night. And it's just kind of the way we're built. We're not really built. I mean, I love my wife dearly. We spend as much time as we can together
in the tool shop.
Well, I had to move my tool shop inside actually. And so I don't, and she's very happy in the tool shop, by the way. She's very, very good. But those are the things that drive guys is, we're not really built for relationships. We're not. We're not built for going out and, it's those days, and I can only speak for the modern man. I'm just a caveman. I don't know your modern ways. I look at it all the time when you talk about back in the day. It really was an instinct that we've got to keep the world populated. I think there's something to the fact that your smartphone today has you inundated with, and a reminder is a constant reminder every second of every day of the fact that there's 8 billion people on this planet. And when it comes to population, yeah, we're good. That there is, I think it tames the instinct and the drive in a lot of people. Not everybody. Nothing applies to all. But I really do think it changes the instinct. And women look at it and say, well, today's guys don't want to do anything. I've had a conversation with one of my daughters about this, that they don't really care to own anything. They don't want to be responsible for any level of ownership of anything. Not that it's not like even the new socialist thing that's going around, nobody should own property. It's not even that. It's, I don't want to have any responsibility for it, even if they can afford it. No. Don't want the car, don't want the insurance, don't want to have to mess with it, don't want I'll Uber, I'll rent. I don't want to have any responsibilities whatsoever.
Well, then the aversion to responsibility is the aversion to commitment, which then makes complete sense.
Yeah, and I think that's where they are right now, and I think that's why we've got a very ultra low birth rate. And sorry, Bill Ackman, but
may I meet you is not going to solve the problem.
That's not even close.
I don't know what situation I'm going to be in the next month, but I've got to try that.
Well,
may I meet you?
The baby boom.
What the
think
hell
about this.
is wrong with you?
The baby boom happened after the war. Why is that? There's a higher birth rate after a huge world event like that. There is an increase in the birth rate because our instinct changes when we see countless people die. That's how humans work. And same thing happened to a much smaller degree after 9/11, but that happens.
Or men were away from women for 4 years.
There's that, but there's also this, we need to procreate because of so much death and destruction in the world. It's part of an instinctual seed inside of our DNA that's not going to change.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. Once a roadside inspection is completed, the officer will close it out. If violations were discovered, most officers, as a courtesy, will explain the violations to the driver. If there were any out-of-service violations, the officer will normally explain what must be done to get the out-of-service order lifted. Drivers need to be very attentive during this part of the inspection. The driver also needs to read and understand the complete inspection report. The driver has 24 hours to get the roadside inspection report to the motor carrier. If the driver will not be returning to a company facility within the next 24 hours, the driver needs to know to get it on the way to you via email, mail, or fax within 24 hours. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. The other thing I do wonder when the story of Bill Ackman and the story over the last couple of days that guys just and is it just guys? And what about the political component of it? I mean, you have, I think, right now, a difference when it comes to politics, radical politics between men and women. Women are much more likely to embrace I'm not just talking about spending more money politics, but women are more likely to defend the insanity of liberal politics today, the radical transgender movement, critical race theory, and I think that that's something maybe not in all meetups, but I think that maybe in 20% of 15-20% of people trying to get together these days, that where you stand politically is so strong up front from day one that it never goes anywhere.
Well, and your opinion is everything. Everybody has multiple social media accounts where they express their opinions, and you know who they are, so you pretty much, Bill Ackman, already met them.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. Now, of course, after the whole Bill Ackman thing, where his advice for dating and the stories over the last couple of days, because about men not wanting to date, about the political differences between men and women today, and since your politics is up front because of social media, as you brought up. The question is, how is that affecting relationships, which gets all the way down to when that's way up there. That's, the social thing. But then it gets down to the realistic thing of a low birth rate. Then it gets down to what Trump was talking about this week when it comes to the fact that we can't have an economy if we can't have people. Now, he got into that argument with Laura Ingraham, and it was really interesting to watch that because Trump was defending a lot more legal immigration, and Laura Ingraham was saying no. And then the debate comes up, who's more MAGA, Laura Ingraham or Donald Trump? And as you and I brought up, Trump has always been legal immigration. It's really interesting. It's the same thing as Trump being viewed as an isolationist, which you and I never bought into. And all of MAGA did. Mm-hmm. Almost all of MAGA bought into the fact that Trump was an isolationist and are still shocked to the reversal of, supporting Ukraine, bombing and going after Iran and their nuclear sites. And you and I weren't surprised by any of it at all based on what he did just in his first term. And when you look at legal immigration, we've said, do people that support, a significant portion that support Trump, not even pay attention to what he says? You and I were talking about in the first term, and this really went under the radar. We don't know why. The whole thing of when Jim Acosta got kicked out of the White House briefing room. Mm-hmm. And the argument that they were having is Trump was telling him, you're saying immigration. I'm for legal immigration. I'm against illegal immigration. He was really going after Acosta for trying to muddy the waters of immigration, which the left has done for the last couple of decades now. You're against immigration. No, illegal immigration. And they have to do that because they've never been able to defend the illegal immigration portion of it. But when you get down to it, there was, on social media, Trump talking about, legal immigration. And you and I have said the public is not ready. Because of everything that has happened, the public is not ready for massive new legal immigration. It is going to be needed if the birth rate continues the way that it's going to go, because if you can't find workers, and Laura Ingraham was saying, well, that's not the case. Last week, we all sort of missed on it. Well, I didn't miss on it, but it was just so much else more, going on. Ford CEO Jim Farley. Ford cannot fill 5,000 mechanic jobs that pay $120,000 a year. Right? Can't find anybody. He said, we're in trouble in our country. We are not talking about this enough. We have over 1 million openings in critical jobs, emergency services, trucking, factory workers, plumbers, electricians, and tradesmen. He said, Ford is struggling to hire mechanics at salaries that Ivy League grads might envy. Now, you and I have also talked about with the pathology of dependency and all the benefits that are available out there to people, what will get people into those jobs? It's not going to take a year, though. It's going to be a decade at least, maybe more, before you transform society where you have to take those jobs. You have to go to that point. Otherwise, hey, my parents, if you don't work, you don't eat. Mm-hmm. There wasn't anything to save you. In the 1930s and the Depression, the food lines came along and the food banks and everything else. But before that, you had to depend on your neighbors, go to church, whatever. There weren't massive government programs there to do it. But the reality is there is a huge disconnect. There are people that are looking for jobs. They're not qualified for the technical jobs that exist out there today. And even though we are seeing a slow evolution of people going from college, because college enrollment's down a little bit over the last couple of years, where people look at the return on the investment and the whole trades movement. By the way, I saw a ton of advertising over the weekend, the Micro Works, Mike Rowe Works promotion, and all over they're great commercials.
Mm-hmm.
They're really, really good commercials talking about people being in the trades. And it was interesting because he was in the one commercial, and I think they're like minute commercials, so they're pretty long. He said, if you get into this right now, into this construction, electronics, whatever, he said, in 10 years, you'll own your own company. And they were talking to people in that business saying, you don't always stay in that. I didn't always stay as a machinist.
That's something that, again, goes back to the instinct. The instinct for survival has depleted. You and I go back to Katrina, has been depleting for a long time. And so when that instinct for survival is suppressed, I believe it is, and we have evidence of that, then you don't feel the need to procreate. Why go on a date? I'm going to a Rush concert. Why go get a job? For what? I've always thought, well, first of all, I want to be independent. I started thinking that I want to make my own decisions, and then beyond that, old Eric needs to eat. And I'm telling you right now, old Eric does need to eat. In fact, I'm going to do that during the break.
Well,
and those are the things that are different when you don't have that, when everything seemingly has been provided to a point where there isn't that fear of falling.
But you made one of the best points that I relate to in my life when I first got the paper route or was cutting neighbors' lawns and getting paid for it. And then when I became 17 and, started cleaning the toilets, and then at 18 became a bill collector. Those weren't I was happy to get the job. I was thrilled. My father will tell you, because he came back and said, hey, I was talking to a manager over here, and they've got a janitor job. You interested? I'm there. And when I can still remember getting my first $13 paycheck, that was a benchmark in my life. Somebody paid me a check, and yes, the government deducted money out of it, but that was, in a way, a rite of passage. It was huge to me because you said you wanted to be independent. I wanted to be independent of my parents.
I wanted to be independent of, and it wasn't an authority thing. There probably was some authority issues because I was young.
Well,
but it wasn't an authority thing. It was, I wanted to be independent and make my own decisions, independent of everybody.
But that's what you realized. You realized that if you went out and you got work and you earned money, then, and that's what we have said, the entire thing of capitalism, the entire thing of acquiring wealth, for us is not so I can buy every damn thing in the world. It's that I've got that money set aside, which means I get to make the decisions in my life. Nobody else makes those decisions for me. I get to make those decisions. Nobody is over me. And when you're young and you're rebellious to begin with, because my parents, we didn't have the greatest relationship when I was younger. That developed as I grew older, and I was able to straighten them out. Yeah, I love saying that. I say it to my mom and dad all the time, and they were just like, "Shut up." But that was, I was driven by wanting to be independent and self-sufficient. I didn't mind the responsibility and commitment that came with showing up at work on time, handling your schoolwork, And, I was working all sorts of hours all the way through college, getting no sleep and loving every minute of my life while doing that. But it was a passion. We talked about earlier about men not wanting to date women, about, come on, what about the instinct of libido? But what about the instinct of independence that we had? Mm-hmm. That we wanted to be on our own. We wanted to do our own thing.
That's part of the survival instinct. And that's that which goes back to dating and procreating and all of it. The suppression of that instinct of survival, the fear that you might not be able to survive, is what drives you to build financial security, to build a family, a home, which is your fortress. You're trying to build all of that out because there is a healthy fear that survival will become even harder or next to impossible if you don't. And the suppression of that instinct has been very clear in modern years. I think that's what we see. And they're really, it just, when that goes away, and God help us, because when we quit making other humans is when a society falls.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. By the way, the head of Ford, the CEO, said, "We do not have trade schools in this country." He's right to a large degree. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Few high schools teach trades these days. Community college are mostly remedial high school education, and government worker training programs have poor results. Government subsidies for college and graduate education have encouraged young to go to college, even though they might be better off learning a trade. This has created a skills mismatch in the labor market.
Yep.
Unemployment among young college grads is increasing while employers struggle to hire skilled manufacturing workers, technicians, and contractors.
Back in our day, if you took shop class, you would be well on your way to becoming ASC certified, if not becoming ASC certified by the time you were done, depending on how much you engaged in that or how much of that you took as a part of your educational courses in high school. And that's gone. So the mismatch is a real deal, but learning those trades and becoming certified for those trades is not an overnight thing.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. All right. This Epstein thing's sort of blowing up for the Democrats, isn't it?
Yeah.
Here's Jeffries taking a question from a reporter yesterday. Here we go.
Why should Americans trust you and House Democrats on the Jeffrey Epstein files when one of your own, Congresswoman Plaskett, was found to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein during a hearing, getting information from him, using that in her questioning during a congressional hearing, and at one point he tells her, "Good job."
This is a bipartisan effort to make sure that, consistent with what The survivors have
He doesn't answer the question. He just ignores
they
it.
move on. Which honestly is the only play in that situation.
Yeah, it is the only play.
It's because the thought is, oh, let this be over, please. And it's, the thing is that we're likely not going to find out anything more. There's really not much more that we're going to find out. I just don't see that happening. I think if there were anything actionable or that would greatly move the needle politically, I think we'd already have learned it. That would have happened already. That there's no doubt the leaks would have happened. I just don't see anything. It's going to be this weird little political football that really does nothing for the victims at all, quite unfortunately. Nothing. And that is the most unfortunate part of all this. And I mean, the whole thing with Prince Andrew. Can we call him Prince Andrew anymore? I don't even think we call him Prince Andrew. Wow. Just Andrew. It's the stories are just unbelievably grotesque. If accurate and true, my gosh. How in the hell does something like that happen on that kind of scale? And the reason it's not much of a needle mover politically is because the finger pointing is going in all directions. And again, we're likely not going to learn anything new. I think we've learned anything that we're going to learn about it.
Well, you've got both parties in a way, with the whole Plaskett, Representative Plaskett. She's the non-voting representative, from the Virgin Islands, I think. Yeah. But the story is a late billionaire sex offender Jeffrey Epstein texted compliments and advice to a Democratic member of Congress while she questioned President Donald Trump's former attorney in a February 2019 hearing. Newly released documents reveal thousands of pages and emails and other documents from Epstein's estate were released last Wednesday by the House Oversight Committee, uncovering shocking communications between the convicted predator and Delegate Stacey Plaskett of the U.S. Virgin Islands as she prepared to question Michael Cohen, Trump's ex-lawyer turned critic. Epstein appeared to be watching the congressional hearing in real time, texting Plaskett that she looked great. That's creepy in itself, isn't it?
Just weird.
She looked great in informing her that Cohen referred to Trump's former assistant, Rona Graff, while he testified against his former boss. Cohen brought up Rona, keeper of the secrets, Epstein wrote, misspelling Graff's name. Rona, the delegate, replied, quick, I'm up next. Is that an acronym? Whoa. And they kept, going, and he said, you did great and everything else. And they just, the Democrats are just like, whoa. But the other thing is, Trump, I think it was over the weekend, came out and told Pam Bondi that you need to go after Clinton and these people. You need to investigate what happened with Epstein and all that. And it was pointed out by Andrew McCarthy. Are you saying that her and Kash Patel's earlier investigation, where they said there's absolutely nothing there to prosecute, was completely bogus? Because she came back and said, well, we've got our best attorney on it. It's like, well, wait a minute. You said there's nothing there. So it really, in this case, it really is amazing how both sides, and then Trump going back and forth, whether to release it or not, you throw your hands up. You're like, what the hell's going on? Well, are both sides trying to sabotage themselves?
Again, it became a political promise in the 24 season that was likely always to be impossible to fulfill. Kind of like bringing prices down, but in a different way, in that that being Trump, whoever your FBI chief is going to be, whoever you're going to pick for AG, whoever those people are, don't have the information in front of them yet. You can't promise anything except we're going to work for justice for the victims. That's what I can promise we will do. And we will go to every extent possible in order to do just that. That's the only political promise you really can do at that time. And then not being able to deliver on a political promise, we saw that earlier this year with the influencers waving the binders that were given to them by the administration that didn't contain anything new.
Yeah.
And if you didn't find anything new, you should be very blunt and upfront about that at that point. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, everybody involved. Listen, we're doing the work, and so far we haven't found anything that is new. We're going to keep investigating this because we think it's important to get justice for the victims. And that's the only thing you can promise to do. But when it becomes a showpiece, well, first of all, that's, to me, how is that serving at all to any of the victims? It's not. It doesn't serve in their interest at all. So the only thing you do is say, we will take every piece of information with a fine-tooth comb and go over it as often as we need to get justice for the victims. At this point, we don't have anything new to bring to you. When we do, you will be the first to hear it because we think it's important to bring this to not just the American people,
right,
not just the victims and their families, but the entire world should know everything because this was global. The world should know all of this, the truth about all this.
Well, but there is a legitimate point, which they've just completely destroyed now, which is there are probably some names that shouldn't be made public, and you should go through that with the fine-tooth comb to make sure that people who might be perceived as victims or had nothing to do with it, and I don't include Larry Summers. It looks like Larry Summers got burned big time on this, the former president of Harvard and an economic advisor to Biden. Or excuse me, Obama, I think it was. Was Obama or Biden? Forgot.
Well, he was an advisor. He was the one that told them on that, advised them on that spending package of $1.9 trillion.
Oh, that's right.
Not to do it. It would catapult them into record inflation, which it did.
And just so you know, the documents released last week showed that Epstein and Summers continued to exchange messages as late as July 5th, 2019, which was just one day before Epstein's arrest on new sex trafficking charges. In the hundreds of messages released, Summers also appeared to place trust in Epstein and confided to him about his pursuit of a romantic relationship with the woman that he described as a mentee. Among the released messages was one from November of 2018 in which Epstein describes himself as Summers' wingman as he continued advising Summers on the relationship for months. Summers says he is going to step back from any type of public commitments. He said it was part of an effort to rebuild trust and repair relationships with people closest to me. But that's not a good look. But that was blown out the window now because what you have is after the Trump administration had the binders and were waving it like, we got it, we got it, we got it, and nothing was there. And then the cluster that has continued back and forth, you can't look and say, anything you say has no credibility. You got to release everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because anything you say has no credibility after what you've done. Democrats have no credibility on it. I'll have to play the Stephen A. Smith from last week. We still haven't played it yet, where he went nuts saying they had 4 years to release it. They have no point to stand on, but the administration had the opportunity just to tell the truth to the American public.
Yeah.
Here's what we have,
right.
And they didn't do it.
Right.
They hyped it as if they had the incredible. But this is the crazy thing about that is, didn't they know that was going to blow up in their face?
I don't know how you didn't see that. I don't know how you didn't see that.
I mean, it's like there was no type of victory to be had. The victory was less than 24 hours. You and I always like to say that, do they workshop these things? I mean, isn't there a group of people looking and saying, here are the binders. Go out now and wave them. We've got them. Well,
and you pick those people that are in that arena for that reason.
Right, the influencers.
Because social media is all about hype. It's all about hype. Had there been something new, something big, that either moves the needle politically or, more importantly, serves the victims and helps to bring people to justice, then, okay, use the influencers, use anybody you want to get the word out. Although I would say one of my first thoughts was, well, if they're being handed binders, if influencers have binders, there's nothing in those binders. You know how I know? Because the last thing you would want to do is spoil a case by making it public through influencers. All your information through the DOJ and the FBI would be kept in case files all the way through prosecution. If there were things actionable that would serve the victims.
Right, exactly.
Then
you would do it.
Then the DOJ doesn't hand them to anybody.
You do it in court.
You do that
in court
through the action, the legal action, and that's how I knew. Well, there's nothing, at least legally, that we're going to learn here, because the DOJ wouldn't be just handing case files over to influencers.
But you would think that in the meeting, if there was a meeting, someone would stand up and say, why are we doing this? There's nothing new here. We're going to get destroyed by MAGA over this within 12 hours. MAGA will destroy us on this. Why are we doing this?
It should have been one person at a podium saying, we want to give you an update on what we're doing. So far, there is nothing new to provide you. But rest assured, we are working to serve justice for the victims every single day. And when there is something new, we will bring it to the American people and leave it at that. When you make it a soup show that it turned out to be, with the waving of the binders, it just looks like a circus. And that, to me, is demeaning to the victims.
It doesn't... What it doesn't look like is a serious attorney general or Department of Justice actually wanting to find the truth and then prosecute if the truth has the evidence to prosecute.
You wouldn't give your case files to influencers.
Right.
It's the first thing I thought of when they started waving the files. Well, those aren't case files. No one would spoil their case. No reasonable prosecutor would spoil their case by putting case files in the hands of influencers to go out and show the world before they went to court and all the way through prosecution. That was the biggest red flag and told me, this looks like a child's birthday party. Let's play pin the tail on the donkey next.
And all of this over an issue, not that it isn't of critical importance because I do want to know the truth behind it all.
Yes.
But this isn't an issue that is moving the needle either way for either political party.
Right. What
And
could move the needle is if there were something prosecutable, if there was something actionable that came out, and then the Attorney General and the FBI moved toward that, and they went through that process and brought charges and moved to prosecution. That politically could happen because then you learn, through that case, as we learn about that case and as they go to prosecute, the American people would learn the facts through the prosecution of that case.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
Farm disaster assistance announcements Monday.
Announcing Stage 2 of the Supplemental Disaster Relief Program.
Deputy Agriculture Secretary Stephen Vaded in a virtual media call with reporters at Stage 1 of SDRP, covering calendar years 2023 and 2024, also continues. In addition, sign-ups were announced for the Milk Loss Program and On-Farm Stored Commodity Loss Program. Farm Production and Conservation Undersecretary Richard Fordyce says sign-up for all three programs begins this coming Monday, November 24th.
The Milk Loss Program and On-Farm Stored Commodity Loss Program will be open through January 23rd, while SDRP Stages 1 and 2 will be open through April the 30th.
Details on all disaster assistance signups are available at local Farm Service Agency offices or online at fsa.usda.gov/resources/programs. Click on the link to 2023-24 disaster assistance. I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. By the way, I saw Mike Johnson yesterday. He solved the Trump problem about what the left is calling the flip flop. Oh, okay. Last week he said he didn't want it released. He said no. He said he wants to make sure that all the victims are fine. He's got no problem with being released. He just didn't want it to be released with the victims in it. That's his concerns. The RNC or Republicans put out yesterday, whether it's the influencers or the RNC, putting out stuff of 2015, Trump bringing up the Epstein thing.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, and their point was, somebody doesn't bring up something that they want hidden.
Right.
He brought it up. And so, it's so much politics has played in it. But what had hurt Trump the most, really, to me, what gave the White House no credibility on it was waving the binders and having nothing.
Right.
Because then you lost MAGA on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app. Available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right, this was last week, but we never got to play it just because there was so much stuff going on with the shutdown. But I just had to play Stephen A. Smith, because when I played it last week, you just said, does he always yell? Always? Like, does he never stop?
I was in line at the drive-thru the other day.
Number 3, Diet Coke. Here he is. Okay, that's okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind that the Epstein files were in existence and free to have been opened during the Biden administration. You were there for 4 years. How come you didn't open it as a Democratic Party then? Large fries.
I don't have to play anymore. By the way, when you just screamed large fries,
yeah.
I thought someone left the volume up on Stephen A. Smith for a second. I was like, oh no. Did you? It's like, Helen, did you leave the volume? Am I still playing that audio cut? Did you leave the volume up? Oh no, it was Eric.
Would it be funny if he actually went to the drive-thru and said, "Yes, could I get a number 3 with a Diet Coke?" In real life, it's, "Could you not salt the fries?"
Oh, so we'll see what happens. The vote today, open it up, and I just don't, I don't see it going anywhere. The one thing with Larry Summers, I find the questions I would have is, well, are you admitting you knew exactly what he was doing?
That's the thing that really isn't answered at all, and I think is behind him, stepping back and the whole thing, because there are so many questions there. When the Harvey Weinstein thing hit and the celebrities, well, everybody knew about it. These were big celebrities that had a great amount of influence back in the day when it was happening. And I said, well, why in the hell didn't you speak up publicly? You had the ability to say something.
If you just knew him as someone, and he knows a woman that you know, and unless you're cheating on your wife, and I don't know what the situation is there, but if you have no idea he's involved in something, and you're talking about a relationship with an adult woman and not a child,
mm-hmm.
and you didn't know this was happening, you have
mm-hmm.
nothing to apologize
right,
for.
because if you are aware of the more nefarious items, that's where it becomes the issue with me. Otherwise, it's Larry Summers and whatever happened in his marriage or outside of his marriage or whatever. But this, I think, is the question on everybody's mind. How did this Epstein thing happen on such a large scale with so many powerful people allegedly knowing about it, if not directly involved? I don't get that at all. I just don't get that at all. Because, and how is it that all of this time, we didn't know, and now we're just now learning about it? I mean, to me, that's incredibly frightening. Because if we can't protect children, and even more so, if there's an entire setup, basically small empire designed to hurt and abuse children on that level. We know that pedophiles exist. We know the networks, my gosh, the stories of the networks that they go through and what they'll go through to find their victims. These predators are incredibly frightening. But we're talking about massive global names.
I was thinking that you saw the story, and I haven't seen much on it, about the group of people who apparently went human hunting in Sarajevo.
Mm-hmm.
That, if you wanted to kill a human, well, nobody knew everybody was being killed over there. Pay us whatever amount of money, and we'll let you go over and kill humans. Something you might see in a movie, and the same thing with Epstein.
There was a movie about it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's so unbelievable that you just can't, imagine that somebody would be involved in that and nobody would blow you in.
Right. There was a movie with Ice-T where they take him out and he's at this cabin.
Yeah, you're
all
right.
These
yeah.
hunters and everything else. and then it turns out that he's going to be the prey. But it's unbelievable.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
Yeah.
I don't think I watched the whole thing, though. I was like,
I did. It actually was a very interesting movie.
I hate to say this, but I hope Ice-T won in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was being hunted.
Yeah,
right?
he became a New York City cop after that. For a long time.
So he did win.
He won.
He defeated the criminals and then became a cop. Since everybody else is living in a delusional world, why not us, right?
Yeah. His character did prevail in the end.
In the movie.
You think of this situation with Epstein and the grand scale of it all and how secrets are kept. Again, we've heard the grotesque stories of pedophiles and how they have these underground networks, and now online. YouTube actually has a policy, and it's regarding. I saw a YouTuber talk about this. It's regarding having children in videos, because according to the YouTuber, I didn't get this from YouTube, but I got it from a person who has a very large, multi-million following, and he said that he had to turn his comments off, otherwise they were going to demonetize his channel, because in the comments, predators leave certain breadcrumbs when children are in those videos. Again, I don't know the full extent of that, and I don't have the YouTube policy in front of me. But these predators will go to every extent possible to find their prey. But when you look at the grand scale of what this Epstein pedophile empire was, there were globally famous people that were aware of it, that were aware that at least something was going on. Maybe they didn't know the details. Now, of course, we know that with some of them, they were directly involved. But word is that when Trump found out that Epstein was a creep, that's when he was like, whoa, no. And as Mike Johnson pointed out, look, back in 2015, Trump was calling on the whole Epstein thing to be exposed and investigated. And that would make sense. Like if you're at that level and then you find out that somebody you've done business with or somebody you just met even, and you're not doing business with them, they're just an acquaintance at best even, is engaged in that kind of behavior, the first thing you want to do is separate yourself from them and eventually get justice for those victims. I don't know how it goes on for any amount of time without one person going, somebody needs to stop this and put people in prison.
Right. And that's what's so unbelievable about this particular case. And, with Larry Summers, I have no idea, because there's still not a lot of information out. Who was the woman they're talking about? Why would you be talking to Jeffrey Epstein about a woman at the same time when he was involved in these horrible activities? Did you know about him? Why would you go to him for any type of advice? You're somebody that has attained a certain level of professionalism. You just go, get me the hell out of here. I don't care whether it's a woman or not. I don't care whether it's related to anything he did. I'm sorry, I can't associate with you. That's happened to me in my career. There are people I've had to tell, nope, sorry, you're involved in this type of activity. Nothing like this. Well, I have the story. One time, a buddy of mine who's dead, he died of cocaine poisoning, was at one time one of my best friends. And, you get to be an adult and, you're in college and the stuff is there and, you're not a professional yet. And, the drug culture that existed in the 70s was different. But as I got into the 80s and I knew a guy and he got into dealing, I went over to his house one time. He had a pile of coke on a record album. Said, out of here. Can't hang with you anymore. And so I would have been in my 20s at that point. I even knew, and I hadn't attained anything at that point, but it was just like, I can't be involved in this. I just, and I never forget him telling me, but I'm only selling it so I can have my own stash for free. I don't think the police are going to take that into consideration.
Yeah, right.
And how much are you doing? Did you see the Charlie Sheen thing? That he claims, I see this verified, that the Mexican cartel refused to give the guy who was providing him his drugs, refused to continue it because they thought that the amount that he wanted, he had to be dealing, and they only sold to users. He's been on and been interviewing, he goes, the Mexican cartel refused to sell to me because they figured that the amount that I wanted, that I had been using every week, that I had to be dealing it, and they weren't going to sell it to a dealer.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm going to say that's a lot. But I mean, but those things, we all go through in our lives. They're just one example. But just people, it's like, nah, I'm not going to be involved in that. Nah, I'm not going to be involved in that. Nah.
Right.
I had a guy who was a client of a radio station. No, I won't give any names. I've never told this story. Didn't even tell it to the station owner at that point. But I was a station manager, and this guy was a client and actually did a paid show on our air, and he was hiring prostitutes on the side. And I had to tell him, you're done. And he pulled his account. It never went any further than that, but I said,
Yeah.
And I was the one, because he actually was repairing my vehicle and was a good mechanic, and said, sorry, can't hang with you no more.
Right. Yeah.
I had no idea you were doing, but I'm not at fault. I wasn't involved in the activities. And when I found out, I said, oh, no, you can't be a part of this radio station anymore. I'll let you out the easy way, which is you back out. You back out of the show. You don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And he agreed.
That is, with the Epstein thing on that scale, with everybody being, again, globally famous, that even just knew about it or got wind of it or had an idea about it, how that remains a secret for so long is mind-boggling.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Now, this is absolutely incredible when I read this headline. UN Security Council resolution on Gaza passes. Trump named chairman of Board of Peace. You can tell the administration, they're panicking over prices right now. You've just seen over the last couple of days everything that's going on.
Yeah.
But take that out of it. Some of the stuff this president has done is mind-boggling, unbelievably great.
Yeah. History will talk about this and remember this forever.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.